Hello, and welcome to April's episode of Let's Talk Oregon. I'm your host, Mike Ducett. We have a very exciting show for you today. In our first segment, we'll be talking with OHS principal, Mr. Jim Pliner. We'll be talking about his career in education and what he's most proud of OHS. And then in the second half of our show, we'll be speaking with sports writer Jack Miller, who works for the Oregon Observer and covers all things Oregon on the sports page. So I'd first like to welcome Mr. Pliner to the show. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So please give us kind of a little bit of a highlight reel of your journey through education. Where did you start, and then how did you find yourself here at Oregon High School?
Well, I've been in school now for 52 years, it feels like. I started as a student that graduated from the Madison Metropolitan School District and headed off to the University of Wisconsin. Not really sure what I wanted to do, with the rest of my life. And while I was there, I fell back on some experiences that I had had in high school, doing some coaching of younger kids and in clinics, etc. And it just felt like that was something that was natural for me. And so I made a declaration to be an educator, went into the School of Education, graduated, and was employed for one semester in a boarding school in Edgerton called Oaklawn Academy. Second semester grad, so that was an opportunity for me to experience students from Mexico and Venezuela, some who I still stay in touch with into their 40s via the wonders of Facebook. But from there, I was hired in the Madison Metropolitan School District as a teacher. I began my career, believe it or not, as a fourth grade teacher, which is not typical for a high school principal. Spent 7 years as a fourth grade teacher at LVM Elementary, loved it, was involved in partnerships with UW-Madison, Center for Biology Education, wrote a lot of grants that got kids out of the classroom and into the wild environments around the school setting, and loved it. I then transitioned to a position at Senate Middle School. I was kind of curious. I think I had the 7-year itch, and I was curious about what comes next and where we were feeding our kids to. All the while, I was a head baseball coach at La Follette High School. And so proximity with Senate being next door to La Follette also supported that passion that I had as well. And so spent 7 years teaching in a multi-age classroom and a lot of math, science, and social studies. Loved every minute of it, but kept getting invited by my administrators, people who saw the work that I was doing, to nudge me towards school administration. And I guess my first foray into it was as an athletic director at La Follette High School. Did 3 years as an AD at La Follette before then kind of going deeper, and was a dean of students for a year, hired as an associate principal at Senate Middle School, did 2 years there, and then had a chance meeting with Dr. Brian Bussler, who was the superintendent here in the Oregon School District, while I was working on some additional certifications at Edgewood College. Was invited to jump into a pool when the middle school was open, and I applied and was the OMS principal for 3 years.
I remember that.
And loved it, enjoyed everything about that. But then I was still curious about what high school might. I wasn't sure I wanted to be in the middle school for the entirety of my career, and I always have looked for next challenges. And so at that point in time, I wasn't sure that Oregon would ever open. And so I followed some connections back to the Madison Metropolitan School District, did 2 years at La Follette High School as an associate principal, and lo and behold, Oregon High School opened. I had an opportunity to interview for the position, and now I'm entering my 10th year this coming year.
Was 15, 16 the first?
15, 16.
Yeah, it was your first year, right?
Yep.
So you've kind of done it all in education. Really, that's a pretty impressive resume. So over those span of the years of your career between here and Madison in fourth grade and now high school administration, what have you seen in terms of trends and changes, right? And what have been some of the more positive trends that we've moved forward in education, and where do you think we should maybe say, hey, let's hold back, let's rethink this, because you have a lot of perspective, and I think that's rather interesting.
Yeah, I'd say when I look specifically at personalization was a buzzword about a good decade ago. And I think in many ways there have been personalized learning experiences that our kids here now have far more experience with than they ever did. I don't think the single pathway to graduation defined by 23 credits, you know, four in English, 3 in math, 3 in social studies, et cetera, down that road, one size fits all is really accurate anymore. I think that in so many ways, kids define their pathway to graduation really in unique ways. We've got more and more kids than ever that are attending college classes out of Oregon High School, whether it's at Madison College, Edgewood, or UW-Madison. We've got more and more demand and more interest in kids following things that is part of their next step beyond high school. We've got a lot of school to work experiences, absolutely. And kids are constantly looking for more flexibility in their school day. And our online and blended learning program, which is, I think, a model here, has really been key to helping students get experiences that they want here that you know, maybe a decade or more ago wasn't so commonplace.
There's less uniformity in the way we do things now.
Absolutely.
And
I think
more positive pathways for kids to take. I think that makes us a very successful district, right? So you're going to be reaching a milestone in the next 2 years, right? You're going to be 10 years here at Oregon High School at that point. So as we kind of look into the future here, what are you most proud of your time here at Oregon? And what, you know, when you tell others about Oregon, what is it you tell them about? What is it that you're most proud of this school?
You know, I'm proud of so many things here. I think it really begins with the culture that we have here, the collaboration among staff. I think the positive relationships between staff. I think in a lot of ways we're it sounds cliche, but a family that's focused on serving the kids in this community really well. And I think that there are some unique elements to that. I'm a part of a big conference, the Badger Conference, and I love my colleagues across the conference, you know, and we share quite a bit about, you know, our experiences. And in many ways, I think Oregon High School is unique in that we have been able to co-construct. I think, you know, a principal doesn't do any of this by themselves, and it takes great teams. I think it starts with all of my APs and my instructional coaches and my leadership team and our department chairs, and then everybody that comes to school to work here at Oregon High School. If we can identify a clear focus and, you know, have our eyes set on what it is that we can provide kids to help them on the journey that they're on beyond Oregon High School. I'm really proud of that. I think I'm proud of the fact that we have created safe spaces for staff to both learn and lead, to be vulnerable. I think partnerships have been key. Our AIW partnership, which you know a lot about, Authentic Intellectual Work, that's a partnership with UW-Madison. I think about, you know, our journal. We're unique in that I don't know another high school in the state of Wisconsin that authors an educational journal, professional journal, in-house. And it's a way to elevate the voices of the people that come to work here and have things to share. And so for me, I think that passion is what I'm really proud about. And, you know, when you say, what do I share about Oregon High School? When we post a job and we get job interviews, I share those things. I share our mission, our strategic plan. I share the voices of our staff through the journals that we write. And, you know, I think about seeing Oregon through the lens of other people when we do instructional rounds and we get UW-Madison, Edgewood College partners, we get principals and instructional coaches from around the state. And the impact that they see of the work here is something that I think really is something for you and everyone to feel good about.
And in some ways, Oregon has come a little bit of a destination for that, right, in our instructional rounds that we implement, right? And do you want to explain kind of what that looks like and why that's kind of unique to what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, we have tried to break down silos, and high schools can be really partitioned, and good teaching is good teaching is good teaching. And so we've created twice a year an opportunity for us to study the impact of our work, and we bring in partners. We about 50% of the visitors on that given day are Oregon staff members. And of course, Mike Ducett, you're always a key element. We've used
I've been to one or two, yeah.
And we've used your classroom as a destination to visit, as well as you've been a part of our visiting team. And we study really intently over the course of a day, a network of classrooms, and then we draw from that inferences that are based on what we conjecture to be a day in the life at Oregon High School. And it is not a dog and pony show. We don't put on anything. It is business as usual. And we look for evidence of our teaching staff and our students forwarding our theory of action, which is a fancy way of the most important priorities of our building. If we can't see them happening in our classrooms, it's not really, there's not priority work. And so it is always an enlightening day, an energizing day, and a day that I am so incredibly proud to be a leader in this community, school community, because I see our school through the eyeballs of our visitors.
That's a really great thing. So as OHS continues to move forward, what do you think are some of the challenges that we're going to have to anticipate meeting in the couple of years ahead?
Yeah, I think, I'm involved with a partnership at Edgewood College, which is really focused on trying to pave the road for new educators. I think that we are seeing across the state, evidence of teacher shortages. Attracting people to the profession, retaining the good people that we have and that we are investing in, and continuing to have this be a profession that the young people that pass through our classrooms see as impactful, also sustainable, I think are key elements. And, our district and Dr. Bergstrom has led, has partnered with staff and community in this district to talk about sustainability, because we have so many talented people here who need to see a future in this profession, because it is like no other profession. It helps. It helps write the future. I mean, we need well-educated people that come through our schools with the tools and experiences that prepare them to be functioning in a democratic society and really ready to handle, the rigors of the world of work that waits for them. So that's important, I think, to have good people. And outside of Dane County, I mean, there are a lot of places that are teaching.
Having a hard time filling positions, and that's true. So that kind of brings me to my last question with you. So let's say someone's at home, they're sitting, they've gotten an education degree, they think, maybe I want to do this. What would be your advice to that person just starting out?
Just brand new to the profession.
Brand new to the profession, yeah.
I would, and we have the opportunity to sit with new educators, and just hired a fantastic teacher here who has done pre-service teaching here, and we're really excited to add him to our staff. And I would say, show yourself grace, be patient, love your kids and love what you do, lean on your colleagues, come to work every day knowing that the work that you do matters, and know that there are going to be hard days and there are going to be challenges. Because we're in the people business. We're not in, there's no bottom line, there's no sales quota. It's about connecting with human beings and helping them see themselves on a path toward their own future. And there are going to be tough days. I remember my first couple of weeks as a new teacher, I tried to be the most amazing, interesting, and I blew all my best ideas in the first 2 weeks of school. And I set the bar impossibly high. Right. And so, showing yourself grace.
It's a marathon. No,
it is. It is.
Well, thank you for coming again, sharing your expertise with us. Your opinion is always valued in this community, and I look forward to having your leadership here in the years to come. So as we move forward into our next segment, when we're back, we're here with Jack Miller, a sports writer for the Oregon Observer. We'll see you soon.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is me? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes. Look at that. You didn't even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you got to get it trending.
No, you're doing it wrong.
Let's go.
Can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I was depressed in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
Food isn't just fuel to live, it's fuel to grow. My family relied on public assistance to help provide meals for us. These meals fueled my involvement in theater and the arts as a child, which fostered my love for acting. The Feeding America network of food banks helps millions of people put food on the table. When people are fed, futures are nourished. Join the movement to end hunger, and together we can open endless possibilities for people to thrive. Visit feedingamerica.org/actnow.
Get the puck forward. Jakey has some room. A legitimate chance, and he finds the top of the net. Jakey. And an early goal for the Panthers. Oh, Euro step. What a move, Olivia Nice. Miles goes on the court, loses, pulls up.
Hello, and welcome back. In our second half, here we have Jack Miller, a sports writer for the Oregon Observer. Thanks, Jack, for being here today and sharing your journey and adventure with us. So can you kind of tell us about how did you become a journalist and a sports writer, and then how did you kind of become connected with this group that covers, the Verona, Oregon, Stoughton area?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Went to UW Whitewater, got a journalism degree there in 2018, and didn't really know what I wanted to do in my first 2 years of college. I was at UW Rock County, which is part of Whitewater now. Sure. But sophomore year, I kind of, I liked writing, I liked sports, kind of wanted to combine the two, so I went to Whitewater. Got a spot on the student newspaper covering sports as a staff writer, and then senior year became the assistant sports editor there, and kind of fell in love with the job there. And out of college, worked a couple years in Milton at a weekly newspaper, kind of cut my chops. After that, with the same company, I got kind of promoted to their daily newspaper in Fort Atkinson. We covered 8 teams. And then after a couple years of that, I'm like, okay, I want to go back to the weekly newspaper. I know daily newspaper, very deadline-oriented, very stressful. I wanted to go back to a weekly newspaper. And this opportunity came up. I think I've been here for 2.5 years and seemed a great opportunity. So I've been working here for, this is my 3rd season covering sports at Oregon. And like you mentioned, Verona and Stoughton too. So kind of me and my co-editor kind of share duties covering these 3 schools. And it's been a great time in Oregon and with Stoughton and Verona too.
I'm sure it's enough to really keep you busy.
Yes.
Really, there's a lot of competitions happening pretty much constantly. So, now as someone my next question kind of leads into that, as someone who covers high school sports and the challenges that come with that, how do you manage your time and how do you get to as many events as you can? I mean, it's not possible to get to everything, but yet in the Observer we still have a really full spread. So, kind of talk about that process.
Sure. Yeah, it's hard because it's it'd be one thing if it was 2 people covering one school, right? But we have the 3 schools, and I think our biggest thing is we really want to have every sport covered at least once a season, ideally twice. And then once we kind of cover our bases with each sport, we kind of look at what team are in conference races, if there's any ranked matchups or anything. Teams that are playing well, obviously, we want to cover them and highlight their successes a lot. But it is hard, right? Because you do want to be at every game.
Yeah.
You want to, because there are, even with the teams that are struggling, they might have some really good players you want to highlight, right? So it's hard. It's not a perfect science. There's never a right answer to how you kind of allocate resources and how you cover teams. But I think we do the best job we can. But that's definitely one of the more challenging parts of the job.
Yeah. And I bet you also rely on some of the local cable access channels to see some of that footage that maybe you missed too.
You guys help a lot.
Yeah, I would say we do. We have an award-winning team here. I don't know if you actually won awards. I think they're an award-winning team in my heart. But so thinking then, as you watch these area teams play between Stoughton, Oregon, and Verona, have you noticed or learned any trends in high school sports these days? Do you feel like they become more competitive? Do you think that's an influence of like the youth sports in the area being such a lively group? Has that raised the bar for competition? I mean, even in your time from 2018 now to 2024, what changes have you seen?
I think this has probably become, I'm going to mention club sports, and I don't know if it was as big in 2018. I would say it's definitely bigger than it was like 10 or 15 years ago. But I think that's probably the biggest change that I've noticed is a lot of these kids maybe aren't playing 2 to 3 sports. Maybe they're just playing 1 to 2, or they're specializing in one, and then if a girls soccer player, she plays during the season, then maybe she goes right to her club team, which I think there's negatives and positives of that, because I know that a lot of coaches love when players come in and have kind of skills from other sports. But at the same time, I think one of the reasons that like the Oregon girls soccer team is so successful is a lot of those girls, they're not just coming in touching a soccer ball for the first time in 9 months. No, they've been playing all off season. There's a reason why they're so successful, because I know that they have really good club programs in this area. But that's probably been the biggest trend that I've noticed, is that maybe a little bit more one-sport athletes, less 3-sport athletes, which I don't think is a bad thing. If they love the sport, why not play it? But that's probably been the biggest trend that I've noticed, and just probably the emergence of the club scene of AAU or club soccer, or all that kind of stuff. It's gotten a lot bigger, I feel like.
Yeah, so we seem to have some teens maybe specializing earlier than maybe they might have in order to also prepare them for competition post-high school.
Right, yeah, because a lot of those kids that are on those club teams, they do have goals past high school.
Yeah, we had a great signing ceremony here last night at the building, and we had a lot of kids sign up for Division II and beyond. So some Division III too. Now I'm full disclosure, I am a subscriber to the Oregon Observer. I get it every week. I feel like it's my duty to support print journalism, right? And I always love to see what's going on in town. And I'll flip through the couple of pages, then you get to the sports section. And I think if by most days when I count that it comes, it's about a 5 to 6 page section. Obviously one of the largest sections in the newspaper. So beautiful color photos, by the way. You've got a lot of good photographers. And do you think this just shows like the Oregon's community's enthusiasm for the sports? And what would you say to those that say, hey, there's a lot of other events going on in town. Are we over reporting on the sports and not enough, say, in the fine arts or just in other community events? Like, how would you respond to criticism like that?
Well, thank you for reading, for one.
Yeah.
We're super proud of our sports section. I think that, there's fine arts is awesome and everything, but I know if we took away sports, people would probably riot. I know it's a very big part of the community. Like Oregon has a great athletic community, kind of highlighted by those soccer teams, and it's kind of trickled down from there. But no, I think it's really important that we cover the athletic teams well, and I think I love like having parents or grandparents come up to me and saying thank you for the work you guys do, and that's an awesome part of the job. And we have great news reporters that also cover I guess the finer art stuffs, and maybe that stuff is a little bit harder to cover too. Sports, it's sort of just it's kind of made.
It's constant. Right?
Yeah,
there's always something happening. Fine arts maybe every couple weeks. Not necessarily always on the docket for the week.
Yeah, sports feels like it's kind of made for coverage, and we're super proud of the work we put in. I think we have one of the best weekly sports sections in the area. We won not to brag, but
brag. Go ahead, brag away. Yeah,
we did win a bunch of awards at WNA, which is the Wisconsin Newspaper Association. We have a great designer. My editor does a great job. We're super proud of the work we put in, and us putting in work. Hopefully, people don't see that as not putting in resources elsewhere.
Right.
But we're super proud of that.
Well, I think I know I've lived in Wisconsin since 2004. And so I know, just as a part of Wisconsin culture, that sports are huge, right? Yeah. We are diehard Packer fans. We love the Bucks, we love the Brewers, and we bleed red for the Badgers, right? So I think, I don't think that's necessarily a trait that's only Wisconsin, but I do feel that we have a lot of pride in our athletics in the state to begin with, and I think that transcends down to that lower level for sure. And I think, for people going to those games, there's also, like we talked about ahead of time, they're more exciting. Right, they're definitely more competitive, and they definitely bring, I think, something to the table that maybe back even when I was in the high schools, this may date me back in the late 90s, right? Yeah. That level of competitiveness just wasn't there yet, so I can understand that. So thinking kind of throughout the sports moments you've had over your past 2.5 years here in Oregon and so in Verona, what have been some of your favorite moments? Like, what do you think back? That was a great game. That was a great accomplishment. What is your greatest highlights reel in your head as you think about your work here with Oregon? Yeah,
it's fun to think about. My first year with Oregon was the 2021-2022 season, which hopefully I'm remembering all these events correctly. But the boys had the boys soccer team had an unbeaten state championship run. That was awesome to cover. That was my first time ever covering state soccer. It's a great atmosphere. If any folks haven't been there from Oregon, you should go, regardless if Oregon's in there. But Oregon will probably be in there most of the years because they have an awesome boys soccer program. The girls soccer in that same sports season ended up winning, I think, another unbeaten state championship. I think we had a track runner win a state championship.
I think that was Giordano's.
I know he really wanted the state record. He almost got it, but it was a really hot day. I want to say the boys lacrosse team, which was a club sport back then, but now it's sanctioned by the WIA, which is awesome to see. I think they won the club state championship. I think that was that year. But I would say that boys soccer championship, that was like the first state championship I ever covered. Covering high school sports, and that was just a really cool moment to be part of, and I have a lot of fond memories thinking about that game and the photos I was able to take afterwards. And I actually have a photo in my office of some of the guys holding up the trophy afterwards. It's just like a fun, kind of remembering that was a fun team to cover. That was a fun game to cover. Yeah,
that's great. Do they have those little moments still with you? I know that makes part of the job worth it and is part of what keeps you going for sure. Yeah, I think, we got a great community here in Oregon, and definitely your work is part of that great work and part of showcasing the numerous talents and skills that we have here in the Oregon community. So, Jack, thank you for taking that time to kind of come out with us and talk with us today. Yeah. And I'm sure we'll see you in the stands.
You will.
Very soon.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks for coming. All right, folks, that's all we have this week for Let's Talk Oregon. We hope you have a great week and enjoy the weather.